Hello guys, welcome to my channel. So today we're going to learn how to cut this palazzo trouser up on the screen. So I'm doing this because of one of my subscribers asked that I should post a video of how to cut this simple palazzo trouser. So let's get right into it. First of all, you get a piece of fabric that will be enough, and how to know the fabric that will be enough is to measure and divide your lap, as in one of your lap, by 2. So whatever you get, you add your 2-inch seam allowance, and there you have it. So that is what I did. Then you go ahead to draw your baseline. Before that, you fold your fabric into 2, and then you draw your baseline. So you place your tape -1, then you get your hip measurement. Mine, I use 9.5 for my hip measurement, and then I go right to use 12.5 for the crotch. So this particular pant is actually not for me. Is for a client that has bigger hips and butt than mine, so that is why the measurement looks big. So the next thing to do is to go to the waist, and then you minus 1 inches. Then you place your ruler to connect it to the hip measurement, just like I'm doing right now. So I'm just trying to show you guys how I folded the fabric in unfold, of course. And then we go right ahead to connect that -1 to the hip measurement. So the next thing is to divide your hip by 4. So the only thing you're going to divide by 4 right here is the waist and the hip. But for the lap, you're going to divide it by 2. So I divide the hip by 4. Whatever I get, I just measure and mark. So I divide the lap by 2. Whatever I get, as you're seeing on your screen, I'll just measure and mark. So the next thing to do is to do same on the waist, but you divide the waist by 4. So whatever you get, whatever I get, I'm going to measure and mark. So there, I'm going to add the seam allowance for all of them. I'm going to add 2 inches seam allowance for all of them, the waist, the hip, and the crotch. So 2 allowance for all of them. This is actually the simplest way to make a palazzo pants. So that is it. I'll do the same on the hip. I'm just trying to adjust the fabric to make sure that they are all same. Okay, so I'll mark on the hip as well. So right now, I just want to quickly explain something. If it was a very slim person, or maybe a size 10 or 12, I could actually go in between that allowance I gave for the hip. But this person is actually on the big size. So instead of trying to limit the fabric, I'll just allow it to stay on that 2-inch allowance. At least it's better to have excess fabric than for the fabric not to be enough because of the big hip. So I hope you guys get my point. So the next thing to do is to measure the full length, and then you mark. But I'm going to measure the bottom of the trouser first of all. So I'm trying to measure the bottom. So I'll go by 13 inches. That is what I'll use. I'll use 13 inches for the bottom. I didn't add any allowance. I just used 13 inches for the bottom. So I'm just trying to connect that 13 inches to the crotch. Okay. So while connecting the crotch to the bottom, do well to make sure you curve that area just the way I'm doing. Do not connect it straight because the trouser won't come out well. Just make sure you curve it to meet the bottom, just the way I'm doing. Anyway, just watch and see how I'm going to do it. Like so. And that's that. So I'm going to cut the excess fabric off because the front piece is ready. The only thing remaining is to measure that full length and then cut the excess off. So in case if you're watching my video for the first time, please do well to subscribe. And for my returning subscribers, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you for your support. It's because of you that's why I'm still here. Thank you so much. I appreciate. So if you like my video, please give me a thumbs up and comment at least to tell me what you think, or if you are getting the point I'm trying to portray in this video. So I'm going to cut all the excess off. The fabric that I do not need, I'll make sure I cut everything off. So now I'm going to divide this trouser into two pieces. Now the piece that is holding them all together, I'm going to make sure I line them and divide it just like so. So while doing that, I always make sure everything is in line. And then we move over to measure the full length of the pants. So I place my tape, same minus 1.5, and then I measure it all the way down. So the full length is going to be 46 inches. And I'm going to add 2 inches for seam allowance to make it 48. That's the seam allowance for the folding, yeah? So 46 for the full length and 48 for the seam allowance for folding. Okay, so we go ahead to cut off the excess. So the next is to cut the back piece of these pants. So I pick another fabric that will be enough for the back piece. I fold it into two, obviously placing the wrong side to face me. And then I place one of the front piece of these pants. I place the wrong side to face me, as you can see on your screen. Then while picking a fabric for the back piece, I made sure I cut out the one that will be enough for the back piece allowance. So I go ahead to pin the front pants to the back piece. Then I start measuring. So on the crotch, on the waistline crotch, I go up by 1.5 inch, just like you're seeing on your screen. I go up by 1.5 inch and then I mark. That is with my tape, I mean to say. I go up by 1.5 inch and then I mark it. And then I use my ruler to connect it to that waistline. Very easy DIY, I must say. So I connect it to the waistline and then I go ahead to add seam allowance, like 1.5 inch, just like you're seeing. Just from the front piece, I add another 1.5 inch to the back piece, and then I connect it. Although while connecting it from the waistline 1.5, then I come down here, I make it 1.2 from there like that, and then I connect it to meet that crotch where the crotch stops. So like that. From 1.5 I go down to 1.2 and then I connect it. Why we always go up 1 inch on the waist is because the bum is bigger than the front. So you need a space to pack that bum, as in the female waist. You need a space to pack it up for you. And then on that point, the 1 inch I remove from the front piece, I'm going to add it back. I'm going to add 1 inch back for the seam allowance. So you see it, I'm going to add it back. Sorry for the dart, because I'm going to place a dart on the back of this pants, on the back piece of the pants. So that's 1 inch I minus over there. I'm going to add it back, and then I come down to the lap. I'll use 1 inch to run it down. As you're seeing, I'll mark 1 inch. I keep marking until I get to the bottom of the pants, just like that. And then the full length remains the full length, and then I use my ruler to connect all the lines. That's of course after cutting out the excess fabric. I use my ruler to connect all the lines, and there you have it. So that's that. So the pants that you guys saw before in my previous video, in the short I posted some weeks back, this is exactly how I made it. Although in this particular pants, I'm not going to use a zip flap. Rather, I'll place the zip not in front but behind, and I'll use an invisible zip for this particular pants. So that's that. So my next video is going to be how to make a zip flap. So guys, stay tuned. You'll be seeing that soon on your screen. So now you're seeing that the 1 inch I was talking about that I'll add at the back piece for the darts, I didn't remove it. So now I'm just going to cut straight through to the other side of the pants. I'll cut straight through it. So I'm done cutting it. So our pants is ready. The next thing to do is to measure and cut the waistband. As simple as that. So this is it. I hope you guys love this video. Do give me a thumbs up if you like it. So the next is to pick a fabric that is enough for your waist. That is, you will measure your waist. Whatever you have, you add like 2 inch to it or 3 inch. So the waist is obviously 38, but I have like 41 for the length, and then I folded it into 2. So the folding is going to be 2 inches. When you open it, it's going to be 4 inches. So the waistband is going to be 2 inches for the folding, and then I cut through. So after this, I obviously interlock all the sides and then join the pants. So next is to see that particular pants. In case if you're coming across it, this is exactly how I cut it. And I hope you guys love this video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.